Thank you, folks. Folks, if you're staying for the Q&A, please, if you're not staying, this is your chance to escape, because it really gives me great pride to, first of all, introduce the director of the film, who was here before. She's also the director, if you haven't seen, It's About Time is really one of my all-time favorite Israeli documentaries that we've screened here. We've screened Noodle here as well. Ayelet Menachemi, thank you so much. And, of course, you'll recognize the writer and producer and one of the stars, Elinor Sela.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. It's really, there's a lot to discuss, and it's a very special film. I want to start by maybe going back to the beginning of where did this come from? Where did this story come from?
Actually, it's based on a true story from my family and my Raymond's family, because we are second cousins.
Raymond is Raymond Amsalem.
She's Marie.
Marie in the film.
Two sisters of my grandmother gave two daughters to their two older sister, Baron sisters. And actually, in the beginning of the writing, I didn't know about the two. I knew just about one. And I started to ask, but no one wants to speak with me because they didn't talk about this. And then I called Raymond and asked her if she wants to join me to the writing, and she was in shock, and she asked me, did you know that my mother-in-law is also a child who was given in her childhood? And I said, no, I didn't know. But then I started to realize that this is not just in our family. And after the film was released in Israel, suddenly women wrote to me that they were given also, and they were from roots from all over the world, from Iraq, from Iran, from Italy, from Greece, from even Japan and China. And even here, we came before the film, and a wonderful, beautiful woman came to us and said, this is my story too. And she's from France. So it's starting from a private family story and became to, a global phenomenon. It's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's such an important story because it really wasn't told, and maybe we needed this time to tell the story and to expose it now. I love how the film, and I'm diving right into the film now, I love how the film really gives it's a psychological film. It's all about the family psychology and all the individuals there, how they're impacted by trauma, I would say. Ayelet, let me ask you, how did you approach this story coming? I'm assuming you did not come from a family where you had people who were given up for adoption like that. But how did you approach this and make this take such a personal story and make it your own?
Well, I didn't know about this kind of phenomena, but when I was invited into the creative mix that was there before with the wonderful screenplay. I think nothing is really personal or specific. Everything is, but it's not. It doesn't mean that you cannot relate to it. And like you said, it's all about trauma. And, we have a lot of that, especially now. So it's always easy to feel for people who go through that. And sometimes it's even easier when it's not too close because then you can reflect more. So, you know, I mean, all you need is empathy, really. Another thing that is lacking, I mean, nowadays. All you need is empathy for any human phenomena. And I mean, we are advocating that.
That's
First
what
and foremost.
One of the things I love about this film is that it's so specific. It's so in a very specific time, place, and family, and yet it's so universal and can speak to absolutely anyone who has a family or maybe doesn't. And really, I think that's really the beauty in it, and it's all in the, I think, in the details, the nuances, and the amazing performances. Can we talk about the performances for a moment?
Can we talk about these viewers that didn't miss one nuance, one detail? Really, I was shocked. You are amazing.
You're the perfect audience,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it's like.
I want to talk about one person's performance who's not here. I wanted to talk about Tiki Dayan, who plays the mother. She's. How did you know how did she get ready for that role? Tell us a little bit of the behind the scenes of her getting into.
She refused.
Role.
First of all, she refused. She said, "What do you want from me? I'm over 70. Do I have to learn now a new language, you know, learn by heart?" You know, she was, I mean, she's basically she's Syrian Jewish. So she knew some Arabic, but Moroccan Arabic is very different. And she was afraid she just won't be able to learn this by heart. So her first reaction was no. But then we said, no, we can't accept that. So we went to meet her, Raymond and Eleanor and me, and we came out after 3 hours. And there was no looking back. I mean, we told her that we will help her and she will have the perfect coach, which is actually, he's the guy that plays David, the older brother. He was coaching all the Moroccan in the movie. And also Rivka, who plays Grazia, she was also worried about learning how to speak French and Moroccan. They all learned it phonetically. With recordings, and they had a lot of support, and they asked for a lot of time in advance, and they got it, and they learned it by heart for weeks before the shoot.
It's amazing. And the use of languages, how many languages are in this film? I mean, there's at least 3 that I can count off the top of my head. I was thinking about all the Israeli viewers here who thought they were coming to a Hebrew film and could relax, and then suddenly they have to read the subtitles to understand part of it. How did you work with those languages? Do you speak all of those languages? Do you both?
No, I don't know.
Did you write in those
No.
languages?
I didn't know, you know, when Yogev, the one who plays David, come to teach me, he said, "Oh, you are an easy case because you wrote, so you know Moroccan." I said, "No, I don't know a word." He said, "What? How can it be?" I told him, "Do you remember the daughter in the scene of the House of Doris that says, Safta, Hebrew? This is me. I don't know." When she was talking Moroccan, I said, no, Hebrew. And now I'm sorry, but that's why I wrote this film to give these languages a place, because I think in one generation maybe there won't be people that speak Jewish Moroccan. It's not the same like the Arabic Moroccan.
I have many more questions to ask. I'm going to ask one more, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Of course, this movie's made out of these amazing family scenes, and that's just fantastic with meals. And to create that intimacy, were you shooting, first of all, in real apartments? Were you shooting on set? And were you guys eating there? How did you create that atmosphere there with there's all this noise and getting into actually, to direct 20 family members, I'm sure is not easy. Tell us a little bit about how these scenes were created.
Well, do you
I will say that it was real houses and real food that my uncle made, and I think it's the only film ever in the world that the actors need to eat cow brain in 10 o'clock in the morning, and
Cow brain is more of a lunch usually, I
Yeah.
think. It's,
and I have this scene with the mezuzin, with that I'm telling my husband, it was, and I opened them and it was spicy, and my uncle put all his heart in this fish, and I eat again and again and again. So it was fun, but what?
sorry. Folks.
This film is about
Folks, this is about
forgiveness,
forgiveness,
and
right?
yeah. But I think Ayelet wanted to say something about the
About
choreography.
shooting the scenes of
Yeah.
in the apartments.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we wanted it to feel like the real thing, so we had to create a real family, and they had to be to come to the shoot already with a bond of the family. So what we did, we mixed non-actors with actors. The non-actors were actually all members, different members of Eleanor's extended family. And they gave a lot of authenticity, and they gave us some kind of anchor and some mentorship for the professional actors. So actually it's funny, but the professional actors were more dependent on the non-actors than the other way around, which you would expect. And the non-actors were just, I mean, by now they are first-time actors. They're actors already, actors and actresses. And they basically portrayed themselves or a version of themselves. So they had no problem. They just had to be natural. And we tried to make it as natural as possible with the choreography of everything around the table. So they had a lot of dinners, family dinners, as rehearsals before we even started the shoot, and they got the hang of it. So by the time we shot, they were all really happy to just be together for whole days and have a lot of fun.
The deaf uncle, he's really my uncle. He's the brother of my grandmother, and everyone is asking me if he's really deaf, and he is really deaf. No one is asking me if he's really an actor, and he is not an actor until this film. And before my grandmother died, she always told us, don't forget Uncle Emmanuel. Don't forget to invite him to meals, to holidays. And I just want to shout her now, Safta, look, I invited Emmanuel for 7 meals, not just one. And he's in Hollywood and in New York, and look what we did. It's amazing. I see him and I can't understand how it can be.
It's amazing how you managed to keep your family's story alive through this film, and it gets passed on. I want to open it up to questions from the audience. I see there's some hands up here, and we're going to pass the microphone around. Please keep your questions short and as questions. Form them as questions, please.
Okay, I guess I've been under a rock, but why were these women given? I've never heard of it, given away. I never heard of this before.
I think, I ask myself this question also as a mother. I can't understand how can it be that a primal emotion like motherhood is culturally dependent. But, in the process of the writing, I realized that there didn't have other choice. This was the surrogacy of those times, and it's an act of generosity also and of open heart. They were very, very close to each other. They lived in big families. They they put the boundary of who is your child and who is my child further than we do. And you know, I heard once that Mother Teresa said that if we do the same and we put the boundaries of whom's child is the boundaries. Okay, you understand me. Maybe she said the boundaries. I don't hear what Mama Teresa said. Okay, the boundaries. Sorry. If we put the boundaries farther, there won't be wars. You know, if your child is if my child is your child, so.
Yeah, I want to add that it was a noble act for sure, and even if we started this whole thing a bit judgmental, it was very easy and very important for us to understand both sides of this act. But we also realized that there was some business element in this, because it was kind of a transaction. It was an investment, because when you have 10 kids and you have no money because the family is so large, and there's another infertile sister that is quite well off, so you give her one child, the child gets great education, grows up to be a very successful person, goes back to their original families many times and supports the family. So it was supposed to be a win-win situation, which it wasn't, because the element of the child themselves, the children, they weren't so happy always to be cut from their biological families. And that created a lot of problems. And that also meant that things were hushed in order not to, just, bump it up.
We have a question right here with the microphone. Thank you.
Hi. I was wondering about the women at the very end. Who are those women in your family, or were those women that you spoke to about their experiences?
The first one is Mari. She's the one that my grand aunt Mesodi gave to Grazia. It's the real one. And the last one is the mother-in-law of Raymond. And the third one is actually the sister of my good friend. And we were friends for, I think, 30 years. And when I started talking about the writing, he said, oh, yeah, my sister was given. And I said, what? We are friends for 30 years. You never talked about this. And so she's Evelyn, the third one, and Simone is from the family of Raymond's husband. So, it was everywhere.
We have one question here.
Have you come across any boys who have been given away?
Yeah. There were two women that wrote me that her fathers were given. It was not common at all, but and I also heard from other women that her mother had twins of boys. So I guess if you have two, so one you can give. But yeah.
Are you able
We're going to take two last questions here.
You're not taking any questions from this side.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Hi, good evening. What was it the children who were given, or mainly the daughters who were given? Did it come from any particular city in Morocco, or was it just any city? Or I know you said it was from many countries, but is it more just economic, or people who had many children, or was it for economic purposes?
It was in every city. It was with so many reasons. It wasn't. It wasn't something official, So We took Tiki Dayan to meet my aunt Msodi, and I asked Msodi, why did my grandmother didn't give a daughter? Why did you give and she didn't? And she said, no, you know, I had 10 children. She had just 7. So you know, it's not. They did what they feel. I don't know. Yes, please.
There was a scene where they were in the van, and the mother and the daughter were sitting in the back, and the husband and the father were sitting in the front. Why was that? Why wasn't the husband and wife sitting together in the van? When she asked, right before she asked her father why she...
Her uncle.
Her uncle. Yeah, I'd imagine that since she saw them before, hugging and talking about something that looked like a secret, she insisted on sitting in the back in order to try to milk her mother for.
That had nothing to do with some sort of tradition.
No, no, no.
Women sit in the back of the car.
Nothing to do. No. Nothing to do with that.
Folks, I want to say one more important thing about this film. You were all part of something very special tonight. This is a film that was the biggest hit of the year in Israel, and it came out, I learned, September 7th, and then a month later, unfortunately, in the peak of its release, of course, the entire Israeli film industry is shuttered, and you are bringing this film back to life right now.
You are. Thank you so much for that.
Please help support this film, help support Israeli films in general. Thank you very much, and tell people to come tomorrow night for one last screening of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.